A Plaguelands Media production.
Hey everyone, this is Hugh from Plaguelands Media bringing you another graphic novel review today. Of course, cheers. Now, this is a graphic novel that I'd never heard about. I'd never heard about this comic before. I believe this is an Image comic. The only reason it caught my eye was because of the writer and the artist. The writer of this book is Geoff Johns, and the artist is, or the penciler, I should say, is Ivan Reis. Now, I absolutely love Geoff Johns as a comic book writer. His run on Green Lantern was phenomenal. And he and Ivan Reis worked on one of the two greatest DC limited series, not necessarily limited series, event comics, I'm going to call them event comics. And that is Blackest Night, and Brightest Day, which are two of the best DC event comics. DC does these fantastic kind of event comics ever since the acclaimed Crisis on Infinite Earths. They just come out with these things, and I eat them up like they're freaking candy. I'm talking about Hyde Street. Now, a lot of you have probably not heard of this book, and I don't know why it hasn't gotten the hype that it deserves, because this graphic novel is the first 7 issues, and there we go. It's the back. And the premise, I mean, I saw Geoff Johns' name attached to it, I saw Ivan Reis' name attached to it, but then the premise just hooked me in. The premise is basically there's this street, of course, called Hyde Street. And when people in small towns or cities or whatever take a wrong turn, primarily because they've done something wrong, they end up on Hyde Street. Hyde Street is pretty much controlled by they're monsters in as much as regular people can be monstrous in their own way. And these people are trying to collect souls of the damned, to give to someone called the Scorekeeper. And if they can manage to get 10,000 souls, they will then be free from Hyde Street and can go about their daily business. Now, the main characters in this, we have Mr. X-Ray, we have Pranky, Miss Goodbody, I believe the Matinee Monster, and you can see during the book that there are a lot of others that are kind of stuck in this situation. It was just awesome fun horror. Hyde Street deserves to be a Netflix show or an Amazon Prime show or something. The premise is intriguing. The characters are amazing. Through the first 7 issues, you actually get the backstories of Mr. X-Ray, Pranky, the Matinee Monster, and Miss Goodbody. And they are pretty, I want to say funny, because I thought they were funny. They're not. They're actually quite disturbing, but it just goes to show you how brilliant Geoff Johns is at writing characters. Each of them has a very distinctive look, a very distinctive style, which is Ivan Reis' character design is like absolutely pitch perfect. I cannot praise Hyde Street enough. I urge you all to go out and check this one out for yourself, please, because what I talk about in the next part of the episode is not going to do it the justice that it actually deserves. So, with that said, if you don't want anything spoiled for Volume 1 of Hyde Street, this is issues 1 to 7, then just kind of go and watch another Playlands Media video. They're all freaking awesome, and we've got a ton more coming out in the future. It's pretty much at the moment time constraints with work and life and adulting, which really fucking sucks at the moment. Adulting is shit, as you can very well tell. But if you do want to know what happens on Hyde Street, if you do want to know about the characters of Mr. X-Ray, Pranky, the Matinee Monster, and Miss Goodbody, then please stick around for the next episode of
Read a fucking book. Read a fucking book. People.
So this is Hyde Street, issues 1 to 7 in Volume 1. So I sincerely hope I can find Volume 2 and however many others they made. We have Pranky, we have Mr. X-Ray. Now, one thing that does kind of irk me a little bit is the page. See, it's kind of coming off a bit there, but that's okay. So we find ourselves on Hyde Street. It's under construction. And this old woman has just got some groceries. But the entire street is under construction and she doesn't know how she's going to get across the road. And then a young Cub Scout offers to help her. This is Pranky. She accepts his offer, and as they are walking, she is telling him, he's asking her questions, and she's telling him a little bit about her life, how her daughter died at the age of 5, and her husband has passed away. She doesn't recognize where they are, but Pranky reveals that he knows what she did, that she poisoned her daughter, like Munchausen by proxy, and slowly poisoned her husband in his later years. And he ends up trapping her in the newly wet cement, and she gets run over by a bulldozer, giving him another soul. His count is now 18,231. Remember, they only need 10,000 to escape Hyde Street, so he clearly just wants to stick around. He runs into Mr. X-Ray, and Mr. X-Ray is informing him of the rules, that the first person on Hyde Street to come across one of these souls is the one that captures it. Pranky is breaking all of these rules, and we get the narration from Mr. X-Ray, and we find out Mr. X-Ray's story. In 1966, he was coming up with gimmicks to sell to kids from the back of comic books, like the X-ray glasses. These are things that were actually in comic books in the 60s. If you get any old Silver Age comic book, you will see these really weird commercials for that, and sea monkeys and whatnot. In this case, it's piranha people, but they're supposed to be sea monkeys. And Mr. X-Ray, his business partner, embezzled money from their last firm, and Mr. X-Ray says, "I know your secret, and that's why you brought me on here." And he has another idea. This time, he's going to sell the world's smallest monkey. The monkey gets loose, bites Mr. X-Ray. Mr. X-Ray throws him out of a window, and eventually his business partner ends up dying, and that's how Mr. X-Ray comes to Hyde Street. This binding is really annoying, but, you know, we'll make do. You can see the dead monkey is also on Hyde Street, haunting Mr. X-Ray. We have this patient who is looking for help. He was getting surgery, but then he changed his mind. We find out that Mr. X-Ray has a daughter. His ex-wife has died, and she left the daughter with her uncle. Mr. X-Ray is like, she would never do that. That uncle is a predator and a pervert. But he denies that she's his daughter, and he runs down the stairs to kind of catch her. Can't find her anywhere, but he ends up running into Pranky, which means he is now on Hyde Street. And he is stuck there, and he has become Mr. X-Ray. He goes to see Pranky in Pranky's treehouse and basically tells him, listen, you've got to start following the rules. I burnt your treehouse down once. I'll do it again. And Pranky's like, yeah, whatever. You know what? Because of me, because I'm taking all the souls, you're all trapped here forever. And we can see Pranky turning into like a little monster there. And then we see the deliveries. And there's a whole lot of different names here, like Nanny Nursery, The Colonist, and all these different ones. And we see Mr. X-Ray has only 2,103 souls, while Pranky has 18,231. Miss Goodbody only needs 3 more souls, but the matinee monster is at 0. So he hasn't basically killed anyone at the moment. Issue 2. We get Pranky when he was a real boy, and all the other Boy Scouts laughed at him because he couldn't tie a certain knot. Pip, Pranky, Peabody. They're all laughing because his father didn't show him. This is in 1955. Remember, Mr. X-Ray was 1966, and he basically burns down the camp, and he causes all of the other Cub Scouts to basically die. And then when his father beats him up, he calls the police, and the police say, your father's a war hero. In school, he's ridiculed by his teacher because he won't dissect a baby pig. And then he goes, at the present, he goes to this ice cream store, and a cop walks in. And the cop doesn't know who he is. He basically backtalks to this police officer, and the police officer is going to take him down to the station. And he basically, there's a noise coming from the trunk of the police car, and Pranky's like, do you hear that, officer? And then the officer gets out to check. There's nothing in there. And we find out that the police officer has caused a car accident, and a pregnant woman dies and loses the baby. And that's the cop's kind of guilt. That's his crime. He covers it up. And he starts to strangle Pranky, but we find out that the cop is in fact a serial killer. And he takes Pranky back to his cabin where he's going to kill him, but Pranky keeps getting up, and he shows him how to tie the knot that he was ridiculed for. And the cop shoots Pranky, but Pranky doesn't die because, like, he's a monster. And Pranky gets another notch in his belt, so to speak. And he is angry because his milkshake is kind of melted or is not good now. He doesn't want to leave Hyde Street, but he's brought to the scorekeeper. And the scorekeeper tells him, I've been getting a lot of complaints about you. You've got to calm it the fuck down, dude. And he's not following the rules of Hyde Street, which is much to the chagrin of the scorekeeper, who is decorating a Christmas tree, which is supremely creepy. But I love the fact that when it comes to the scorekeeper, it's all kind of black and white and grey. Really, really cool. the scorekeeper basically tells him, come on, it's Christmas time. And you can see he's got these ornaments, the steamroller that ran over the old lady, the cop that died. And then it's Christmas time on Hyde Street. So here we have Santa coming down a chimney, but he's not there to give presents. This guy is there to rob them and terrorize, and he ends up, pardon me, finding himself on Hyde Street, where he is sitting, Pranky is sitting next to a snowman. And then we have Mr. X-Ray kind of looking at his old commercials, the piranha people in a tank, which, if you remember Sea Monkeys, it was literally just brine shrimp. But they marketed them as these underwater merfolk people, and kids would just buy brine shrimp and put it in a tank of salt water or whatever, and they would just float around for a bit and then eventually die. I never got into Sea Monkeys, but I do know what they are. But in Hyde Street, piranha people are actually little piranha people in a tank, which I thought was freaking hilarious. Pranky comes to Mr. X-Ray's place of residence, wanting to kind of make amends, telling him that there is this guy who's coming to Hyde Street, this Santa thief. They dress up, Pranky as an elf and Mr. X-Ray as a SWAT cop or something, and they confront Santa. He's got the sleigh with the reindeer, typical of the Santa Claus myth. And while he has Santa in the sleigh, Pranky pushes Mr. X-Ray out, and the snowman kind of comes to life and taunts him, while Pranky is about to kill Santa. The matinee monster comes in and basically knocks Santa away, thus saving him and making sure that Santa knows what he's done. This guy that's pretending to be Santa, I should say, knows what he's done, and if he says sorry, he's free from Hyde Street. And Santa looks into this little bauble that the matinee monster gives him and sees how sad the kids are that the presents were stolen. The guy playing Santa feels bad, and he apologizes. Pranky is pissed off, and he confronts the matinee monster, but the matinee monster jumps away. And Pranky is like, this sucks. So he's still at 18,293. Okay, the fourth issue deals with the matinee monster. He has a script. This actor has a script. Abbott and Costello meet Frankenstein's brother. This is a riff on like the old Abbott and Costello crossovers with the Universal monster movies, the best of which, the Abbott and Costello Universal monster movies, Abbott and Costello Meet the Wolfman, I thought was freaking great. They're an acquired taste now. I don't think modern audiences really get into that kind of stuff. I do try to teach how important older films are, but with the rise of the Hollywood blockbuster and the summer event films and all of that kind of stuff, and Netflix and Amazon Prime and Disney Plus and streaming services and stuff, we're starting to lose an appreciation for the older films. So it was so great to see this in this graphic novel. I literally laughed. I thought it was absolutely hilarious. So we have this actor, and he's worried about being typecast. This is 1949. So we started at 66. Then we went to 55. Now we're in 49. It's because he's so tall, and the actor himself he's like, how much makeup is going to be involved, how much prosthetics and whatnot. And he ends up taking the role and becoming the Frankenstein's brother. It's then where he's called into his agent's office, and we have this other guy, and he believes that he is going to be replaced by this other actor, and he gets really, really angry, and he confronts the guy. I am the monster. And while he's confronting this guy, one of the lights from above falls down and kills him, and he feels so guilty, he thinks it's his fault, that he just basically goes on the run, where he meets this little girl. Now, this is reminiscent of the modern Prometheus, otherwise known as Frankenstein, by Mary Shelley. We also see it in, I believe, the Universal Frankenstein movie with Boris Karloff as the monster as well. So this is a great nod and a great throwback. And this is something that it's almost like the writer and the artist are paying tribute to the fans of this kind of stuff. If you are a fan of comics, and if you're a fan of movies, and if you're a fan of literature, even if you're a fan of music, if you're a fan of theatre, if you're a fan of art, these are all the inspirations that we see in graphic novels, in comic books, in everything. And if you can join the dots, if you can connect them, it just makes the experience of reading them so much more engaging, so much more joyous. One example I give my students is the opening scene of Halloween, the original Halloween, John Carpenter's Halloween, is mirrored by the end scene of Halloween 4, The Return of Michael Myers. Now, you might argue Halloween 4 is a shit film. That's your opinion. I don't mind. Perfectly great. I thoroughly enjoyed it. But watch the opening scene of John Carpenter's Halloween and the end scene of Halloween 4, The Return of Michael Myers, and you will see the homage that is being made there. And that's the same when you read a comic book and you're like, I get it. I get it. Another thing that I will urge you all to do, if you're reading a comic book, doesn't matter what it is, and you love it, you enjoy it, it's something great, you want to talk to people about it, first of all, talk to people about it. If you read comic books, no one cares. If you play video games, no one cares. That's what you love, that's what you enjoy, just go with it. But I urge all of you, if you are reading something, watching something, playing something, listening to something, and you enjoyed it enough, go out and research it. If you find the history of whatever it is that you're enjoying, it's going to make your experiences that much more fantastic and memorable. Okay, so I'm going to leave it there. I'm going to continue with the story. So this little girl kind of confronts him, and he is sucked into Hyde Street, where he meets the scorekeeper. The scorekeeper explains the rules. He has to kill 10,000 people, and then he can leave Hyde Street. But this guy, he's not a bad guy. It was an accident. He misconstrued the situation because the other actor wasn't there to steal his job. He was just an understudy in case something happened on a day of shooting and this guy couldn't fill his role. The scorekeeper beats the shit out of him, takes his eye, and that's how we have the matinee monster on Hyde Street. But his vow is to not let anyone be killed. His vow is to atone for the guilt that he feels over the death of that actor when the light dropped on him by making sure the people that come to Hyde Street aren't killed but actually do the same thing and atone and apologize, and then they are free to go. We see he has the castle, and he has someone trapped in here, the Butcher of Hyde Street, who only has 9 souls to his name, but the matinee monster has kept him in the castle dungeon. And then we see Pranky in his treehouse, and he finds the malicious manual of monster hunting and mischief. Then we go to chapter 5. This is where we meet Miss Goodbody. This one was freaking hilarious to me, just because I grew up in this era. Miss Goodbody is an aerobics instructor, and she's berating this fat woman who is trying to do her best, but she's really out of shape, and she ends up having a heart attack and dying. Patricia Tripe, 1983. How old was I? I was young, but I was still watching cool movies. So Miss Goodbody is in this store with these protein pills, and she's approached by Mr. X-Ray. So we know she's on Hyde Street at this point. And Mr. X-Ray is basically warning her about Pranky, how he's snatching the souls. And she offers him eyes because he's constantly wearing these X-ray glasses. And then she has a freak out. She's saying, I didn't kill her. And then we go to 1983, where she's being fired from the gym as an aerobics instructor. And they've got a new aerobics instructor, and she gets fucking pissed off. She attacks the guy, smashes the mirror, and then the woman who died, the heart attack, her sister comes in and accuses Miss Goodbody of making her sister hate herself because she was fat. And Miss Goodbody freaks out and like she was a lazy cow and whatnot. And then she's running and she's knocking fat people over. And she hates that people are indulging themselves, and she's trying to stay fit and whatnot. But then she sees a chocolate shop and she gets an idea. And she smashes the window with her head, and she gets served a subpoena. She's being sued by Trisha's sister. And she ends up walking around. There's a Hyde Street sign there. She goes to a tarot place, and she talks about the subpoena, and the spiritualist, so to speak, gives her an idea. She leaves a box of chocolates at Trisha's sister's house, but of course they are poisoned, and because Trisha's sister has died at the hands of Miss Goodbody, the lawsuit is gone. A guy comes into this fat-free store in Hyde Street looking for something to help him lose weight. And then Pranky enters, and you can see that Pranky wants this soul. So Miss Goodbody doesn't get it. Okay, we get to chapter 6. We see that this guy has opened the jar. He looks like he's dead, but there's a parasite in it, which Pranky kills. And Pranky has injected him with snake venom so that he is dead, and Pranky gets one more soul. She only needs 2 more souls to leave, 2 or 3 to leave Hyde Street, and she's desperately looking for them. Pranky is like, yeah, whatever, and he leaves the store laughing. Mr. X-Ray is in his office apartment looking at a picture of his daughter. We see the matinee monster still has the guy trapped. Dr. Ego, there's a new one. Sisterhood. And these others as well. The scorekeeper is like keeping tabs. So what this page, or these pages, show us is that there are more of these villains that we are clearly going to meet in the future, and I can't fucking wait. Mr. X-Ray, here's a crash outside. There's a bus that just smashes into other stuff, and all these tourist people kind of get out. It's like a tour bus, and they're all kind of walking around dazed and whatnot. And Mr. X-Ray comes out, and he basically says, hey, listen, this is part of the tour. You know, we've got this theatre here. Come on in. He gives them all these X-ray specs, and he rolls the film camera. And we see that the film camera is showing each of these people, through the X-ray specs, of course, what they did wrong. They see themselves. He is not paying his taxes and whatnot, and they're doing all these like white collar crimes. But then we get to the bus crash, and all of these tourists are hounding the driver to go faster, to go faster, to go faster. And the driver does, under duress, and ends up killing a person crossing the street. And they all kind of realize we're the ones, and they start turning on each other. And then they have the bus, they see the bus basically running over all of them, and Mr. X-Ray, his souls go up a little bit. So he's basically manipulated them into admitting to their guilt, and then they all get killed. Miss Goodbody is holed up in her store. Pranky is out there kind of mocking her. And he was like, she's like, I just need 2 more souls. And he's like, yeah, you're not getting them. You're not leaving here. And she's like, do you even care? And then we see this splash page of her empty store, just crying at the door. She only needs 2 more souls to flee. Then we go to the last issue in this graphic novel, chapter 7. We have The Strange Case of Dr. Jelly and Mr. Peanut Butter. This is like a kid's comic book cereal commercial. And we see Pranky looking at these mascots, cereal mascots. And then he's going a-hunting. So he kind of breaks in and steals a mask. He goes out into the woods, where he runs into this guy who's been running around. He was in Central Park, but now he's lost. And Pranky's pissed off because he's like, get out of here, I'm hunting. And he tells him to leave, and he turns into a monster, and the guy runs away. Pranky starts setting up traps. He's hunting a monster, but what monster is he hunting? Could it be the matinee monster, I wonder? And then the guy comes back, and the guy's like, Pranky's like, I just told you to leave an hour ago. He's like, I've been here for 2 days. Like, what are you talking about? And then Pranky's like, wait a minute, you can be bait. So he strings him up over a bear trap. He's got the shotgun, and he's telling the guy to scream. The guy does. The matinee monster comes flying in to save him. Pranky tries to kill the matinee monster, but it doesn't work. Pranky has now turned all of the cereal mascots into monsters to fight the matinee monster, which they do, but the matinee monster basically is too much. So Pranky puts on the werewolf mask and kind of becomes a little werewolf himself. They fight, and the matinee monster kind of gets the upper hand. But then it is discovered that this guy was in the park because that's where he was burying his victims. And he was burying his last victim, this little girl who wanted to be a ballerina. And the guy's like, well, they were all foster kids and they needed me. He was a cell phone salesman. And this girl lived next door. And he starts to run, but he gets caught in the bear trap. And Pranky says to the matinee monster, just go back to your castle and let me deal with him, because this guy is definitely evil. Definitely a serial killer who preyed on young children. And the matinee monster leaves, and Pranky gets all of his serial mascots to come, and they rip this guy apart, thus giving him one more kill. And then we have this stupid advertisement for Bugsy Berry cereal, which is a take on Boo Berry cereal. And that is the end of Hyde Street, Volume 1. This is an amazing series. Geoff Johns never fails to disappoint me. I thought the art by Ivan Reis was absolutely spectacular. I loved that there are throwbacks to early comic culture, early movie culture, 80s, that health craze in the 80s where everyone was doing yoga and aerobics and kind of trying to get into shape, and you had the neon colors and the sweatbands and everything. It just tickled me in a way that an Image comic really hadn't done in a long time. Like, I do love Image comics. I love Spawn. I've got the first volume of Savage Dragon to read. I'll be reviewing Gunslinger Spawn and whatnot. But there was something about Hyde Street that it hit every button for me. It was funny. It was somewhat poignant in some parts. It was gory. This needs to be a series. Like, this needs to be a TV series. Now, you can say that about a lot of comics, and just look at what is out there now for us nerds to enjoy. I mean, The Boys, Sandman. Yes, I know Neil Gaiman is on the outs at the moment, but it was still a good TV show. Dead Boy Detectives, X-Men 97, if you want to go the animated route. I mean, I've actually gone back and started watching, or I should say rewatching, Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends. Like, that's how much into nerd shit I'm getting this year. This just hit everything for me, and I urge all of you, track it down, read it, and enjoy it yourselves. Yeah, I'm not a fan of the binding, but you know what? At this point, at least it wasn't as bad as the Transformers meets Back to the Future, where every page literally fell out of that fucking book. This is a keeper for me. This reminds me a lot of the comic book Die, which I have. Haven't reviewed it yet, but I have read it, and Redneck Vampires. This wacky, out of the fucking left field book that just works. It literally just works. So I'm going to leave it there. If you enjoyed the video, everyone, have a drink. It's Saturday when I'm recording this. Like, subscribe, leave a comment. But most of all, have a fantastic rest of your day. Stay safe, of course. And read a fucking book, people.